2, 1.
Former White House aide and Apprentice star Omarosa, whatever the rest of her name is seeking to prove she was unfairly fired by the administration by releasing secret tapes of her private conversations with the president. Because who would want to fire a White House aide who was making secret tapes of her private conversations with the president? Omarosa is trying to get on TV to peddle her new memoir entitled, I Am a Disgruntled Former Employee Who Can't Be Trusted and May Even Be Psycho, but is probably just greedy and dishonest. That may not be the exact title, but it's something like that. CNN spokesman Winston Mendacious said, quote, this network is not going to waste our viewers' time by interviewing some greedy fame hound peddling sleazy, unsubstantiated rumors that might needlessly undermine the reputation and effectiveness of the President of the United States. No, I'm kidding. Bring that sweet stuff on, unquote. Omarosa says, among other things, she witnessed Trump lying to investigators and using racial slurs while having sex with an underage prostitute after drinking the blood of virgins, then devouring a living infant with his lizard-like tongue, after which he stripped off his Trump face to reveal he was really a gigantic space alien with dripping fangs and only the slightest grasp of foreign policy. On hearing the allegation, CNN's Don Lemon issued a statement saying, quote, I knew it. Isn't this what I've been saying all along, unquote. Trump responded to Omarosa's charges with a tweet that said, quote, this is what happens when you give a place of trust in the White House to a reality TV star with no discernible political knowledge. He's going to hire someone like Omarosa. Trigger warning, I'm Andrew Klavan, and this is The Andrew Klavan Show.
I feel hunky-dunky, life is tickety-boo. Birds are winging, also singing hunky-dunky-doo. Ship-shape, tipsy-topsy, the world is zippity-zing. It's a wonderful day, hurrah, hooray! It makes me want to sing. Oh, hurrah, hooray! Oh, hooray, hurrah!
All right, we've got Sebastian Gorka coming on to talk about all the stuff that's going on in the Mueller investigation. And tomorrow is the mailbag. Tomorrow is the glorious, wondrous mailbag day when all your problems can magically be taken care of and disappear. All you got to do is go on thedailywire.com and subscribe. You got to be a subscriber. It costs a lousy $10 a month. All your problems versus $10. Which do you want? Do you want to keep your problems in your $10 or get rid of the $10 and get rid of your problems? Go on thedailywire.com and subscribe, then hit the podcast button, hit the Andrew Klavan podcast button, hit the little picture of the mailbag, ask anything you want. Ask about religion, ask about politics, ask about your personal problems. I will answer, and my answers are guaranteed 100% correct and will change your life. For the better? All right, let's talk first about stamps.com because here's why I use stamps.com. A, it's like I love having things come to my computer. I do not have time. I do not have time to run to the post office. I need the post office. I live for the post office. They do a great job, but I need it to come in through my computer. And stamps.com will let you access all the amazing services of the post office right from your desk 24/7. You can buy and print official U.S. postage for any letter, any package using your own computer and printer, and the mail carriers pick it up. Just click, print, mail, and you're done. It couldn't be easier. And the other reason I use it is because it is wicked cool. You put your things right in the printer and it comes out with a stamp. I still can't get over that. Right now, you can use the code Klavan for this special offer. Includes up to $55 free postage, a digital scale, and a 4-week trial. Don't wait. Go to stamps.com before you do anything else. Click on the radio microphone at the top of the homepage and type in Klavan. That's stamps.com. Enter Klavan. You can use your first letter to mail a letter to me asking, how do you spell Klavan? It is Klavan, no E's in Klavan. You just make it look easy. That's it. So like everything the left does always produces the opposite results, right? They want to get rid of racism. They make racism worse. Then they start defending their own racism. Then they just have everybody hating one another. And that's their idea of making racism better. They want to make life better for women. They say, oh, yeah, if you're a man, but you wear a dress, you can compete with women in the Olympics, so women can't win anything. They just make life worse for women all the time. And they keep saying the same thing. They keep saying, in spite of all we've done, things are getting worse. It's because of what they do. They create the exact opposite of all their intentions. This is also true with their decades-long attempt to shut up the right. all it does is, I am the opposite of a conspiracy theorist person. The minute I hear a conspiracy theory, I start to doubt it. I just think people aren't that smart. They're not that, clever. They can't keep a secret. Also, most conspiracies, if you listen to them, there's no reason to believe them. So, I mean, the 9/11 one is my favorite crazy conspiracy because you have a bunch of Muslims saying, we're going to blow up the World Trade Center. Then you have them saying, we are blowing up the World Trade Center. Then you have them dancing in the street saying, we blew up the World Trade Center. And then people say, yes, but who really did it? I mean, it's nuts, it's crazy. But when you try to silence the right, when you take Alex Jones off the social media, when you go after, now they're going after Gavin McInnes on Twitter, like I can't even imagine. McInnes is basically a comedian. He's, makes all these rough jokes, but that's what comedians do. He's just doing it on the right. And now he seems to have been banned from Twitter. Bad show. But when all the news agencies are openly conspiring to attack Donald Trump, we saw Thomas Friedman of the New York Times saying that we should cover him this way if we really want to hurt him. The Boston Globe is saying, we should all get together and publish simultaneous editorials attacking him. When we see that the press is at war with Donald Trump, we start to think, well, if you're silencing the right, maybe how do I know which person on the right is telling the truth and which one isn't? If you're just silencing them all, it's really you who have created the conspiracy. You are the conspiracy. The left is the conspiracy, and it just gives credence to things that people are saying on the right. And right this minute, I have to tell you, I think that the truest things that Donald Trump is saying are about the Russian collusion investigation. He sent out a tweet the other day. It says, seems like the Department of Justice and FBI had a program to keep Donald Trump from becoming president. If this had happened to the other side, everybody involved would be in jail. This is a media cover-up of the biggest story of our time. And this actually seems true. There is now, as far as I'm concerned, compelling evidence that Hillary Clinton's campaign colluded with high-level FBI officials through this Fusion GPS to transform still unproven Oppo dirt research on Trump into this incredibly vast, unbridled, and so far unproductive Russian investigation. I mean, they keep on all the left-wing venues, CNN, the Times, the networks, they keep saying, well, he's indicted so many people, but he's indicted so many people in Russia who'll never stand trial. I could do that. I could stand there and make accusations against people who can't sue me, who'll never be tried, who'll never have to prove anything. You can do that about anybody. It's just, there really is nothing here, and it's gone on forever, and it has occupied our time, it's occupied our news stations. So let's go through some of this, because I know it's always complicated, but I do think we can boil it down to a certain amount of understandable stuff. Let's start, of course, with the firing of Peter Strzok. He's the guy, he presided over both the Hillary Clinton email investigation and the Russian election interference investigation. And he was, at the same time, he was texting with another FBI employee, his mistress, saying, stuff like, we're going to stop Trump and we need an insurance policy against Trump. And apparently, Strzok was still protesting his innocence when the word came that he was out of work. We have the video.
But let me be clear, unequivocally and under oath, not once in my 26 years of defending our nation did my personal opinions impact any official action I took.
You're fired.
This is true for the Clinton email investigation, for the investigation into Russian interference, and for every other investigation I've worked on.
You're fired.
It is not who I am, and it is not something I would ever do, period.
You're fired. That's tough. He's a tough president. This is the guy, the Inspector General Michael Horowitz said that his emails created the appearance that investigative decisions were impacted by bias or improper considerations, and that his behavior was not only indicative of a biased state of mind, but even more seriously implies a willingness to take official action to impact the presidential candidate's electoral prospect. He recommended, the AG's office then goes on to the guy who overlooks behavior, and he recommended suspension, but the deputy chief of the FBI overruled him and just canned him. And that's rare. I mean, so they really were looking at this. His lawyer will give his lawyer a chance to protest. He said, this is Eitan Goldman. He said that it's all political. Here is his lawyer.
don't think that you can rationally reach any conclusion other than it was political. Pete, along with several other employees who sent anti-Trump texts, were referred to the Office of Professional Responsibility, or OPR. That's a division within the FBI that is in charge of internally disciplining agents. And we had a normal process where we engaged with OPR and submitted something in writing and went in and orally presented. And they decided that what the appropriate punishment should be is a 60-day suspension, demotion, and signing what's called a last chance letter, which basically is double secret probation and says that you can be fired if you do anything else wrong. That decision was overruled by the deputy director of the FBI. It's something that he had the authority to do because it was delegated from the director of the FBI, but it is a vanishingly rare occurrence for things to happen this way. And I think it's difficult to believe, given the steady drumbeat of texts demonizing Pete from the president and all the calls on Capitol Hill by Republicans for Pete to be fired, that didn't play a role in the Bureau's ultimate decision.
When you say play a role, though...
So his narrative is basically Trump, this is all political, they're under pressure from Trump, and Trump fired him. I'm going to answer that in just a minute, but first we got to talk about Black Rifle Coffee. And I'm a coffee guy. I'm a big coffee guy. I really can't get started to work without it. I drink it as I come on the air. I used to be a Starbucks fan, but I just can't do it anymore. Black Rifle Coffee, because of all the leftist posing and all this stuff, but Black Rifle Coffee is totally different. This is founded by former special operation vets, and it delivers the best roast-to-order coffee right to your door, guarantees you're getting fresh premium coffee with every order and without the left-wing garbage. In addition to great coffee and gear, Black Rifle has a coffee club that makes things easy. No lines, no running out, just great coffee shipped right to your door every month, hassle-free, and they also give a portion of their sales to veteran and first responder causes. And I've talked to these guys, and they just do not indulge in social justice warrior nonsense. So visit blackriflecoffee.com/Klavan and receive 15% off your order. That's blackriflecoffee.com/Klavan for 15% off. blackriflecoffee.com/Klavan. And of course, everyone who wants to support the military must know how to spell my name. I don't know why, but I just made that up and it sounded great. It's Klavan, blackriflecoffee.com/Klavan. Good coffee. So their narrative, the lawyer's narrative, is, oh, this is all Donald Trump, all Donald Trump. Jim Jordan, conservative congressman from Ohio, he says this. I mean, this is an incredible piece of audio. Just listen to this for a minute.
I mean, the American people deserve an FBI that's not biased. They deserve an FBI that's going to focus on the truth. Obviously, Peter Strzok wasn't that individual. And I think it's important to understand he just wasn't any old agent at the FBI. He was deputy head of counterintelligence. More importantly, he was the lead agent on both the Clinton investigation and on the Trump-Russia investigation. So you now have at the FBI, Neil, something I've never seen in any federal agency. James Comey fired. Deputy Director McCabe fired. Jim Rubicki, former chief of staff, has left the FBI. Jim Baker, chief counsel at the FBI, was demoted, then fired. Lisa Page, FBI counsel, demoted, then left. And then, of course, you now have Peter Strzok, who was demoted and now fired today. These are the six key people at the top of the FBI who ran the Clinton investigation and who launched and ran the Trump-Russia investigation. I've never seen anything like that in any other federal agency.
What Jordan is describing is an agency that has just suffered a massive scandal. People being fired left and right, top people being fired left and right. And that's why it's always important to emphasize this is not the working FBI agent who's out there busting bad guys and serving the American people. This is Obama's top level of DOJ and FBI people who are being shot down and fired. This is a major, major scandal, what happened. It wouldn't look like this. It's not Trump doing it. It's the agency doing it. They are cleaning out after a scandal. That's what a scandal looks like when it sweeps through an agency and when they actually take care to clean things up. That's what a scandal looks like. Where is the media? And it's not that they're, it's just that they're not playing it up like the big deal it is. And they start screaming, oh, Trump is undermining our faith in our law enforcement guys. These big guys are being fired like crazy because it's a scandal. So what did they do? I mean, this is the thing I want to talk about, just because it really does seem to me, I don't want to be a conspiracy guy, but it seems to me there was a conspiracy. So let me just remind you of a couple of players, right? Bruce Orr was the Associate Deputy Attorney General. So he's number 4 at the DOJ. Bruce Orr, he's since been demoted. I think he's a janitor now, or he delivers the coffee in the morning. I'm not sure, but he was the 4th guy at the DOJ. Nellie Orr was his wife, and she worked for Fusion GPS, okay? So remember that. Bruce Orr, number 4 at the DOJ, Nellie Orr's wife, working for Fusion GPS. Fusion GPS is the company that the DNC and Hillary Clinton paid something like $1 million to get dirt on Donald Trump, right? And that's Glenn Simpson, who's the head of Fusion GPS, and Christopher Steele is the former British guy who went out and did the dirty work and gathered all this information. And again, of that dossier, which is now called the Steele dossier, this Fusion GPS dossier, not one major allegation has been substantiated, not one, okay? So none of this stuff, it seems like Oppo research that really didn't come to pass. John Solomon, writing at The Hill, now has information that Simpson and Steele of Fusion GPS met secretly with Bruce Orr. And we now know that they were passing, Steele got fired from the FBI. He was working with the FBI as well, but when he used the press too much, they fired him. But he was still passing information through Nellie Orr to Bruce Orr. So that this was going on a long time. He met secretly with Bruce Orr, passed him a memory stick, right? And there are notes, handwritten notes from Bruce Orr, which have now come to Congress, the congressional oversight. And the notes that Orr took at this meeting with Fusion GPS follow the path of the Russian investigation. Here's John Solomon, the writer at The Hill, explaining this.
From Bruce Orr's notes, where he's talking to both Christopher Steele and Steele's boss, Glenn Simpson, the founder of Fusion GPS, you can see every allegation that the FBI pursues 3 or 4 weeks later in Bruce Orr's notes first. They start talking about Carter Page on August 22nd. In September, Carter Page becomes a target, and in October, he becomes the focus of the FISA warrant. Orr is almost like organizing the information in some way with Steele and Simpson, and then somehow it just keeps making its way to the Justice Department.
I know that in general, John.
I mean, I get that this is like a John le Carré story. I mean, it is a genuine spy story. But what the hell is going on? I mean, what on earth is going on? How did they lose their way? I mean, obviously, this is an agency where they got caught up in that Obama feeling. They got caught up in the Obama world of an Obama future in the holy name of Obama. And they were just doing this stuff because they saw the steamroller Trump coming down the pike. And they decided, if Hillary Clinton comes in with Oppo research, these are her people coming to the DOJ with dirt on Trump, and they're using Oppo research to start an investigation, to guide an investigation. Now, let's just go back to, some of this is coming from Lee Smith, writing at Real Clear Investigations, at Real Clear Politics, which is a pretty, I mean, I know it's got a conservative backing, but it's a pretty balanced website. He says that now when you look at this, when you see this and you see what stuff we knew before, you have to look back at this meeting that Don Jr. had, this big meeting with Natalia Veselnitskaya, right, the Russian lawyer. And again, I understand this is complicated, but it's worth trying to follow it just a little bit, and I'll try and keep it as simple as possible. The Russian lawyer is also paying Fusion GPS. She wants to get dirt on a Russian businessman. Okay, she wants to get dirt on a Russian businessman because she hopes it will help overturn the Magnitsky Act. All right, it's a complicated story, doesn't matter. The router thing is the Magnitsky Act. She goes to Don Jr. and Jared Kushner and Paul Manafort, and she says, I've got dirt on Hillary Clinton. And she has this kind of unsubstantiated story that this Russian businessman and Hillary Clinton, blah, 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 blah. And Don Jr. listens to this, and it's all about the Magnitsky Act, and he doesn't buy it, and he leaves. He said, maybe we'll take up the Magnitsky Act later, but we're not going to do it. This woman, this Russian lawyer, has dinner with Simpson from Fusion GPS both before the meeting and after the meeting. So it really seems entirely possible that the meeting itself might have been a setup, that the meeting itself was meant to entangle the Trumps in this kind of Russian net that it seems obvious to me that certainly Donald Trump had no idea about any of this stuff. I mean, not that he didn't know that the meeting might have taken place, but just that the idea that he was calling up, Vladimir Putin, which is this fantasy that they have on CNN, that he was, Vlad, can you help me, defeat Hillary Clinton? That's like, it's nonsense. And it all seems to come back. It all seems to come back to this Hillary Clinton Fusion GPS, Department of Justice nexus that really is as dirty as Trump says it is. And listen, you've heard me go off on Trump, and you've heard me go off on his dishonesty and his bullying and all that stuff. But after all, the whole thing about Obama, Shakespeare said a man can smile and be a villain. The whole thing about Obama was, yes, he was more classy than Trump. Yes, he was more poised than Trump. Yes, he had a better routine as president than Trump. Trump makes fun of the idea of being presidential. Obama was much more presidential. But Obama was a dirty guy. Obama ran the government like a Chicago machine. And this is the wages of that. And so it's the press covering it up that makes it so hard. The press is picking on our old pal Devin Nunes or Nunu or whatever his name is. They're picking on him all the time because he has been trying to get this stuff out. I mean, think about that for a minute. Think about, guys, I am a journalist. I go to work every day trying to get at the truth. Here's Devin Nunes doing what he's supposed to do, his congressional oversight over these immensely powerful agencies, and the press is picking on Devin Nunes. It makes no sense. I mean, it does make sense if you're just a complete arm of the Democrat Party, but that's the only sense it can possibly make. And so Nunes is caught on tape, and I won't even say caught on tape. He's like talking to a Republican fundraiser, and they get him on tape, and suddenly the press is like, oh, did you hear what he said? He said, we're the only ones who can clear Donald Trump, because everyone else is trying to frame him. That's what he says. So this is the second Nunes cut where he says we have to keep the majority. This is cut number 11.
It's like your classic catch-22 situation where, we're at this is what puts us in such a tough spot. If Sessions won't unrecuse and Mueller won't clear the president, we're the only one. Which is really the danger. That's why and thank you for saying it, by the way. I mean, we have to keep all these things. We have to keep the majority. If we do not keep the majority, all of this goes away.
So all he's saying was we have to keep the majority or they're going to kill this investigation. And that's why, we have to win. And he's stirring up the Republican donors and saying that's why we have to win. And they're saying this like this is some kind of conspiracy. But this is his job. This is what he's supposed to be doing. And that he has become the enemy of the people in the minds of the press tells you something about how sick the press is. And I'll wind this up with just one thing. If you don't believe me on how sick the press is, we have to go back to the story yesterday about the fact that there are no white supremacists in America. There's 20 of them who show up, and all the violence, all the cruelty, all the meanness against America, against the police, against the press was coming from the left and Antifa. And our old friend, Chris Cuomo, has got it all figured out that it's just not as bad when they do it.
And unless you're justified in defending yourself and you hit someone, you're a thug, you're a criminal. You attack cops, you slap the media, you're in the wrong, period. But I argue to you tonight, all punches are not equal morally. In the eyes of the law, yes. But in the eyes of good and evil, here's the argument. If you're a punk who comes to start trouble in a mask and hurt people, you're not about any virtuous cause. You're just somebody who's going to be held to the standard of doing something wrong. But when someone comes to call out bigots and it gets hot, even physical, are they equally wrong as the bigot they are fighting? I argue no. Fighting against hate matters. Now, how you fight matters too. There's no question about that. But drawing a moral equivalency between those espousing hate and those fighting it because they both resort to violence emboldens hate, legitimizes hateful belief, and elevates what should be stamped out.
Thank heaven for Chris Cuomo, because whenever you call Don Lemon the stupidest man on television, they accuse you of racism because Lemon happens to be brown. But thank God there's Chris Cuomo, who's just a tiny little bit stupider, I think. I mean, basically, this is what he's saying to you. If you get punched in the face by a guy who says he's against hate, it's not so bad. Don't wait. It's a good punch. That's a good punch. If he kills you, and one of these guys, somebody is going to get killed by one of these Antifa guys eventually. If he kills you, it's not you're not as dead. It's not as dead when that somebody does it. Hate. It's like it's as if somebody stood in a white hood and burned a cross on a black family's lawn and said, "I'm doing this because I'm anti-Klan." And Chris Cuomo said, "See, he's anti-Klan. He's not bad. He's anti-Klan. These guys are fascists, and they call themselves anti-fascists. So what? So what?" And these are the blockheads who are reporting the news to us. Hey, by the way, speaking of blockheads, Michael Knowles. No, that's not. The next conversation is coming on Tuesday. Tuesday, August 21st at 5:30 p.m. Eastern, 2:30 p.m. Pacific. And yes, it is Michael Knowles, who was just rescued from his terrible future by our famous DeLorean or whatever it was. He is back to answer your questions on the conversation moderated by our very own Elisha Krauss. The Q&A will stream live on YouTube and Facebook for everyone to watch, but only Daily Wire subscribers can ask Knowles questions. To submit your questions, log into thedailywire.com, head over to the conversation live stream to watch, type your question into the chat box to have it read and answered on the air. Once again, subscribe to get your questions answered by Knowles on Tuesday, August 21st at 5:30 p.m. Eastern, 2:30 p.m. Pacific, and join the conversation. Now I feel bad because I compared Knowles to Chris Cuomo. I take it back. I mean, even Knowles does not deserve that. All right, we got Sebastian Gorka coming up. Come on over to thedailywire.com.